Hey fam, it's G. Morris Coleman, and welcome to Talk to Me, where real people talk real life.
But I've watched you really take the church and kind of have this, I'm going to use for the lack of a better word, this kind of callous attitude towards outside voices to build what you've been building. And what you've been building is so far removed from where you've come from. I'm watching you, I'm watching me, you know. There are things that I do at my church, even for down to dressing, that this is my Sunday attire, and I'm just, I'm sat down. And I'm like, it's so far removed. But like, unpack that a little bit, because I noticed like when you're a fresh start, you know, y'all ain't really trying to care what other people are doing and care what other people think.
So I was intentional about a few things. One, I wanted, the first couple of years, I made a decision. Actually, somebody said this to me. This is one good of a piece of advice that somebody gave. They said, don't let anybody in the pulpit for the first year. They said they need to be able to identify your voice over all other voices. I think I took that a step further, and I did that for a few years. And the reason is because I realized that culture has to be established.
Agreed.
Right? You don't stumble into culture, you establish culture. And so so I took the first few years to establish the culture, that this is what it is and this is what it's going to look like. And so I had I took the time to do that. I think the second thing is that I realized that we were called to be different. I think that I was keenly aware that this is not that. That what the Lord was allowing us to build, it did not look like anything that I had come from. And so I can't expect anything that looks like what I came from to understand this. And so you actually don't have the voice to be able to speak into this. It's not personal. You just don't have it. You just
don't have it.
And literally, I would be setting that person up for failure. To come into this environment with that voice. It doesn't work for this for this culture. It doesn't work. And so that's some of that. I think the other thing is I personally made a decision to keep my head down. I felt like every time that I would go someplace else and interact with this one and do it, it like started to get into my mind, like where I'm like, maybe I should be doing that instead, or maybe I should listen to this person. And so it was like, hey, bury your head in the sand, listen to the voice of God, and only do what He's tells you to do. And honestly, it has kept me out of trouble. There are things that I don't even know about because I'm just working. I'm gonna keep my head buried. And when I look up, I'm gonna look at the people who I've been assigned to and put my head back down. And that's what that's the science behind that. And I think, you know, I think probably secretly more than openly, I've probably caught some flack for that. It's well with my soul. Like I don't know another way to say it. Like I'm at peace enough.
And in a moment, so I was thinking about this conversation today. And one of the things is that personality and character. I know I'm not the lead interviewer. Please excuse me.
Ain't no interviewer. We talking.
I'm just talking.
Don't start.
All you out there TV land.
Something's really wrong with you.
So, because I've learned in my pastoring and my pastoral journey, is that sometimes personality and character can be a hindrance to the assignment, and not just we always speak in a negative way, that a negative personality and negative character flaws. But I'm learning that there are some positive areas of your personality. Like for instance, for me, I'm very accepting and inviting. My arms are always wide. Like if God gives me an idea, I'm calling like, yo, God told me for us to do this. And He's like, no. I didn't say us.
He didn't say us.
Say you. You know. And with that comes this this thing now where people always want me to be who they've known me to be. You know what I mean? And it's like
He is not here.
And you know, and I'll be very honest and open, and I think this is a conversation that I hope other pastors and church planters are hearing. Like, You know, familiarity has been a challenge. Familiarity has almost inaccessibility.
That's another one.
You know, so for me, because the way we have church, the time we have church, my church creates an avenue, and I'll just say it, where people that ain't getting what they get from their church, they come on over there, they suck up all our praise space, our worship space, our carpet space, and then they don't. And you know, my personality is like, yeah, come on over. My wife always says, you know, if we ever had a mansion, you would have that mansion filled every day with people. So I'm like, come on over to the house, come on over. Yep. And I've learned now. I'm starting.
You got to wash dishes. You got to vacuum. You got to sweep. You got to do something.
Yeah. And speaking to that, like, because now I'm realizing that those things have actually kind of slowed the progress a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I made the mistake of, well, it's not a mistake, but, you know, we established like a YAM kind of thing, you know, young adult ministry thing. And I said, come on over to the house. You know, we went bowling or whatever, all of us. And I said, oh, y'all come to the house. You know, the night was early. Come on over to the house. We'll watch the game, play some spades.
Stay out of my house.
Whatever. As I was sitting there, I was like, it's Saturday night.
Yeah.
I got to preach to these same people in the morning. Yeah. And if I let them get too comfortable and too close or too familiar, it'll be harder for them to hear me as the spiritual leader in their lives. So,
you know, so to me, I think it struggles with an engagement and a consistent engagement, because again, I can get to Pastor Mack at any time. And there's a part of me that is wanting to say to people, like, just hit that.
Yeah, but bro, the thing is, where there's no investment, there's no ownership.
Right. That's good. That is good.
Right. And so people really are coming. They're as you said, sucking up all the space.
Yeah.
But there's been no level of investment, and the church only grows by investment.
Yes.
And so all of those people are there, and they become numbers, but they don't actually become investors. And I think the other issue I think with that is that they also now, because they're present, are actually shifting and impacting the culture, even though you're not here to cultivate the ground.
Exactly.
It doesn't work. It doesn't really work.
Yeah.
You know. And I think for me, back to your point about personality, I think I'm the exact opposite. I think naturally I am more guarded.
Bordered.
Yeah. Like definitely. I don't think a lot of people know this, but I'm definitely more introverted. And so I think that works for me for the space that I've been given. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think people are expecting me to. Like, everybody come on. And although I am that too, you know. But I think what I've learned is I want to be able to create a culture that's sustainable. And I think the way what you talking, for me, that I can't sustain.
Yeah, it's a challenge, you know. And then again, pastoring in the 21st century, church has changed so much in the last 10 years, and the pandemic really has expanded this thought that I can have everything.
Yeah, I ain't got to commit to nothing.
Yeah. You know, I've had, I'm watching even people in and out of my church, not just my church, but in other ministries. Like, I'm gonna come get this because music is good here.
Yeah.
The you know, the leadership training is here. The preaching is here. This and that, or the preaching is there. Or this and that. And it's like, man, lock into one. You know, we're pastoring people that are being pastored by other people.
Right. But you can only grow where you're planted.
You can only grow where you're planted.
You know,
and the whole thing. But let's speak to a generation now that doesn't believe that. How do we?
There it is. Because nobody believes in being planted at all anymore. It's like, I go here because I can get that, or I go here because they got a good thing for my kids. When I send my kids there, for Sunday school,
y'all going over there?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Or so it's everybody's out for themselves at the end of the day. And I don't mean to be preachy. I just mean,
that's kind of
it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now pastors are, especially our generation of pastors, are spending a lot of their personal time thinking and researching and figuring out ways to meet those kinds of needs at their church so they don't lose people.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, I thought it was
so.
I pastor whoever assigned God assigned to me.
Can I tell you what has freed me?
Go.
What has freed me is I have accepted the fact that I'm called to who I'm called to.
I'm called to who I'm called to.
I'm not for everybody.
And who I'm not.
Yeah.
Somebody else is out there for
somebody
them.
else. Yeah. And I'm also trying to develop a conversation, a talking point where if this church, I think we might have had a conversation.
We talked about this.
That if my church ain't for you, let me help.
I can help get you.
Find it.
We ain't gotta fall out.
Yeah.
Let me help find where I think you can.
I know some good places.
Yeah, I know some good places.
Yeah.
That fit this and that. You know, if there's certain things you like, you know. For instance, we don't necessarily do a scripture reading like that. And sometimes we do it,
we
but
don't either.
That ain't. It's not really my thing.
Yeah.
And I know that was a big thing for somebody who came to my church, and I was open to no shade, but if that's a big point to you, I'm willing to help you find a church. Now, I think we might have done that to applaud our generation of pastors.
Yeah.
I don't think we're at each other's. We're not as adversarial as our forefathers and mothers. You know, again,
Holy cow.
you know, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm going with Pastor Milton," I'm gonna say, "That's my brother." You good.
Right. Good
hands. I'm going to Pastor Coleman.
You're in good hands.
Yo, you in good hands.
Right. We gonna see each other at one point of the year.
Anyway. You see me over there. You know, it's all good. Where you know we came up under. You stay away from that church.
But I think pastors fell out. But that stuff too.
Right. But I want to say,
say it. Say it.
I think we're not as territorial.
We're not.
And I think part of that is because, at least this is my story. I think part of that is because pastor is not my identity.
Right.
I think the generation before, this is all that I am.
Yeah.
And if I'm not this, I don't know.
Nothing
I have nothing.
And not only if I'm not this, if you don't see me as this, it's cool, man. It's
that is just one of the many things that I do. And even like doing a platform like this, it's intentional. Like I want to, for me, this is a part of my pastoral responsibility, is to show all of these other people that there is more to life than just one thing, that I'm not a one-trick pony. And you can have multiple things happening all at the same time. And I think for this generation, that matters. Because they don't want to get locked into anything. And some of that is positive, right? Because sometimes I think we always spin that negatively. Some of that is positive. They will, whatever they comes to their mind, they're going to do it. But if they don't see that exemplified through you, forget about it.
I wholeheartedly agree. And this platform is inspiring to me because, again, man, it's like when you got them 10 different ideas in your head.
Do it all.
Yeah. And it's like, no, you know, one of the mistakes I made was I was always told you can't pastor and be musical. And that's a lie.
Why?
That's a lie.
Why?
Like,
we got proof that that's not true.
A lot of proof now.
You know, and so even like say my music ministry, they're looking at me like, hey, we need the musician. You know, we need the musical expertise. And at first I was like, I'm being a pastor. I'm coming in, now I'm hearing them, they all kind of wrongs. And I know how to fix it, but I'm the pastor. No, praise the Lord, everybody, you know. And I've learned, like, nah, man, just be you. And if I was to give advice to any pastors that are just starting out, and even if you've been in it a long time, peel away all those layers and be unapologetically who you are.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be who you are, because it's time out for the facades.
I agree.
And God can't anoint you trying to be a cheap imitation of something. You know, be who you are.
What's been your greatest personal challenge with pastoring?
My greatest personal is you know what? Is self-doubt.
Yeah, that's a
self-doubt.
I get that.
It's always I'm gonna say it like this. I'm just an open person. I always have had this thing where I might not be as good to pull this off. And everything around me is saying, you what? Yeah. But it's that idea of
great and powerful odds. Somebody's going to
self-doubt.
Realize there's something back there. Ain't nothing back there.
It's self-doubt. And even this weekend, God has really been speaking to me and just saying, you know, spend energy preparing for success more than if you fail.
That's so good.
You know,
good.
We don't prepare for success more than we prepare for
failure.
The back
what
of
if.
what if. So that's been my greatest challenge is that self doubt.
Yeah.
I guess mine is similar to that. I think that I often have it's negative self-talk. You know, it's around that same area. There are days when I go home and I sit in my driveway, and I'm like, I'm such a phony. You know, I'm such a fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just preached all of these people all up out of their pews and out of their circumstances. Oh, people are leaving the church going, oh, Pastor, I'm going home and I'm going to call my brother. I'm going to call my sister who I haven't talked to in 20 years. And then I go home and it's like, but who is going to come and snatch me out of my, pit or whatever it is?
That's so good.
And then because it's not their job to pastor me.
Yeah.
You know, I pastor them. Yeah. But, you know what I mean?
Mine, not this look. I would probably, it's similar to what you said, Damon, that self-doubt, but I feel like I might have an offshoot from there. I think it's self-doubt kind of coupled with the whispers, right? Like 100 people can say you're amazing, but I think I overheard one person say that you ain't all that, and listen and thinking about what that person said. I am up all night in knots for weeks thinking about that one person that didn't like what I had to offer. That thing will cripple me every single time.
Yeah. Now,
so it's like, don't even tell me. If you know it, don't even tell me because I'm gonna be messed up.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit of a variant in that it's probably not whispers more than ghost.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's not really anybody in my current space or in my, I've had enough affirmation and support over the last decade, but it's like not year 10, it's year 11, what they said. 11 years ago, not 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still like, well, somebody used to say to me, and I'm not him. I want to preface that. But when I was a teenager, somebody said to me, you can't sing, just play. And so I never ever took trying to sing serious. Because somebody said, you can't sing.
Same thing, vice versa. Same thing, vice versa.
And even so now, even 30 years later, when it's like my people are like, oh, sing something. And I hear that still ghost. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't sing.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, oh, or your anointing is only good as here. It's like that.
Love those.
Yeah.
Or the micro that one to me. I never heard that.
Oh, you never heard that?
What y'all saying?
Well, you know.
What you got to say? We can all.
No, a lot of time, man. We grew up under so much. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. We grew up under so much manipulation, and some of it was ignorance. And when I mean ignorance, just not knowing. But it was always this idea that the anointing on your life was only as good as the house you operated in.
My God.
I understand that there are places where I go that it's easy for me to flow. I've preached at both your churches. There's stuff that your houses pull out of me. Then I've been in houses where it's a grind. But to say this resident place, your anointing is only as good as the place you're in. I've heard all of that stuff. Here's one. You gotta be a fool to want to pastor. You gotta be crazy to want to pastor.
Yeah.
Now, but that's within some areas of reason.
Yeah.
Sure.
But to just, for instance, my testimony was I didn't run from a call to pastor.
Yeah. Right.
I knew from the time I could comprehend life.
But
at 4 or 5 years old, I knew I was called to pastor and to do music.
So you wanted it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying.
But people
100%.
do vilify people who actually want to.
But those ghosts, it's like, you crazy for doing this? You crazy. You know, come on.
And then you appear like you're not humble.
No church.
Yep.
You know, you serve another man's work, and that works for some people. I'm not saying that's not, but so it's the ghost.
But also, that's a limited perspective because you did serve another man's work.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to take over another man's work. I served in
Right.
Get me started. Because I think everybody around this table has served another man's
absolutely.
work.
In fact, we would not be able to do what we're doing now if we had not cut our teeth.
Man, oh man.
Helping another person to do their
man.
To the point where I actually see I do stuff. This last Sunday before last, the mic started squealing. And I said, Lucia. What?
Wow.
Why are you saying that?
Wow.
Because Bishop Dixon is coming out of me. Right. So we serve to the point where these people still they reside in us.
We are the continuation of their legacies, even if we don't look exactly like them.
Right.
And here's the thing that I think is the biggest misunderstanding. We don't try to step out of those shadows in that.
Please talk about that.
Yeah. We're not trying to dismiss their contributions and the formation. It's just that we still have our own personality.
Yes.
And who we are, but we stand. At the end of the day, when you see me, you see Pastor Carlsbrook. You see, there are certain things. To this day, you will never see me put my hand in my pocket when I'm preaching. Because he just didn't, you know what I'm saying? It's certain things he didn't do. It's certain principles that he instilled in me, and I proudly wear those, But at the same point, God gives us all identity.
That's it.
To be who we are.
Yeah.
Because while we've been formed by them, somebody's being formed by us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And we want to make sure that we don't repeat, not about the names we mentioned, but repeat certain things that mess up the generation to come.
Yeah.
With stuff like your anointing is only as good as one place, or just stuff that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think we want to raise leaders to open their minds for the possibilities of what God can do, even if it ain't what he did for me.
Yeah. I want to wrap up by asking, I want you both to answer this question. What has been the greatest difficulty that you've experienced as a pastor? And then what is the greatest triumph that you've experienced?
Okay.
We're going to balance it.
All right, you finna get an exclusive.
Let's do.
So the biggest difficulty pastoring, has been a result of a personal life occurrence. I filed for divorce, and I thought I was going to have to lose everything. I thought the whole church was going to leave me, or they were going to kick me out, or they didn't want to accept that and the third about me. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, it is what it is. I'm not going back. I'm not gonna, subject myself to a relationship that is really not garnished for the life that God called me to. And that's that. Mm-hmm. And while I was packing my bags and getting ready to go, I said, well, this is my last sermon. It's gonna be the last word on the matter. And I got up in the pulpit, and I saw all the people, but it was almost like God whited their faces out. And I just went for broke and preached what God gave me. And do you know, every last one of them was like, all right, so what's next? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, what's next? Wow. And so it was the most difficult moment of my life, actually, but also of my pastorate. But also, it was a very victorious moment for me, because I realized, while I might cancel myself.
All right, now, wait a minute.
That's it.
Other people will try to cancel you, but they can't, because God called you. So that was that.
Oh! Be careful now. Yeah. You did that good. You did good.
I heard you tuning up the other day. You was going for it.
Wait.
I got it in me.
Every week. I just want to throw that in every week.
I got it in me.
Every week.
I'll holler every week.
Every week.
I really do.
Every here and there.
I scream.
I love it. I be glued. Come on, Doc. Come on, Doc. Old school, right? No, for me, greatest difficulty is probably, I'm gonna understanding my church is only 3 years old. It's the greatest difficulty for me.
Oh, that's good to me.
And it's such. I'm trying to say it in the most condensed way possible because there's so much layered with that. And I have to understand my church is 3 years, and anything worth something takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah. And things like engagement, consistency, development, training, and really getting people to understand the culture and establishing. Those have been my greatest difficulty. But when I lump it all together, it's just being okay with it takes time.
Yeah.
Because I'm the kind of person, Rome shouldn't have been built in a day. Rome should be built yesterday. Right. And here's the other struggle. My church is the smallest thing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Because every other ministry I've been a part of is big.
Huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So I'm not used to not seeing people.
Yeah.
I'm not used to
what is this
doing. Yeah. So that's been the most difficult thing for me. But the greatest triumph for me is that what we've established in 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's the two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
For me, that in 3 years we started in an art gallery. We were able to assume and merge with a church in the middle of a pandemic. We kept our core team together. And we're doing good. We got out of some debt in some areas, and the church is really beginning to really pick up. So in one area where it's been a difficulty as a pastor, it's been also a triumph. And I just got to tell myself, man, it's 3 years, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you guys, and I mean this, you guys remind me of that because I study, I watch, I look, I pay attention. And you guys, and I'm always holding this fast to this. If he did it for you, he's going to do it for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I respect the person.
That's where it's you?
I was going to ask you now.
You would think I have an answer, but I think, difficulty, I think is, I'm going to say it this way and then I'm going to explain it, is actually doing the will of God. The explanation for that is to transition from one church to another church and to try to do that seamlessly without hurting people in the process of that. And that was not easy to navigate through. Yeah. But I think, to your point, I think everybody kind of has said the same thing. It also is the greatest triumph. Honestly, the end result too, it was again one of those moments where when you come through the difficulty, you really are able to fully see, oh God, I get it now. Yeah. Right. I think there were some things that opened for us that was like, if we stayed where we were and didn't make the move, we would have never been who we are right now. Yeah. So I'm super grateful for the challenge, but also for triumph. Thanks for watching this episode of Talk to Me, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a single thing, and we will catch you at the next talk.